the second half of your growth and put it in a master plan, and a lot of it is remedial. It isn't just more stuff. Every new unit has to remedy a situation. You know, has to hide a parking lot, you know, make a neighborhood center, etc. You're in a remedial mode, not just a growth mode. So the proposal we have is to make it so attractive that all of these 3,300 units in total are going to want to come back and be replanned, so that you can get your town center. Next. These are the condos that you have. Now, just one little detail, okay? Just trust me on this. Okay? You have 18-story condos. You may need to get 30-story for hotels. Okay, for a hotel, hotels are, you've heard me say this before, I need to repeat. There's a big difference between a condo and a hotel from your point of view. A condo keeps you off the beach. A condo gates you away. No parking, no beach, no nothing. Okay? You're unwelcome. A hotel is the exact opposite. It welcomes you. Every hotel, even the snobbiest, will let you in the lobby, let you use the beach, you know. They'll charge you for the towel, but they'll give you a towel, and you can buy a drink, and they'll park your car. A hotel is an amazing thing. It's one of the most generous things you can have in America. If you can incentivize hotels, by all means, the more hotels you have, the better. Every hotel gives you access. It's one of the things that makes Miami Beach so great. Miami Beach has very few condos on the beach. It has hotels, so we all just go in and use the beach. That's why Miami Beach is so great. So we want to incentivize hotels, particularly because hotels really need to be on the beach. Okay, a little detail. It's very inefficient to park cars on this side, on the south side, because it's a very shallow lot, and there's a coastal setback line. These condos over here had a very easy time because the lots are deep. In Alabama, they also seem to be deeper, the lots. But you really can't afford to build parking garages. So I think the condos that will be built in the future will tend to be the smaller ones. Okay, because you basically, there literally isn't the land and the money to build the parking. So we're going to draw them as 18, which is I think what the code expects. We don't want a down zone, but honestly, we think they're going to be 10 and 8. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you have an 18-story building. Okay. Once you're at 18 stories, it doesn't matter whether it's 30. You just can't tell. Okay, now you can tell that it's 4. You can tell that it's 8. But once you're at 18, 18 and 30. So what we're proposing in the code is that hotels be incentivized by being granted the 30 stories. Okay, the 30 stories, and we worked on 30 because a study was done for a hotel, you know, a real architectural study, which we would have done if we'd had the time, but we didn't have to because it was done. And the hotels, to be viable, to get the 250 rooms for luxury hotels and all the public rooms and the convention centers and so forth, I mean the conference centers on the first floor, 30 is what allows them to be built on lots like this of this size. So our code will say that, 30. Okay? And by the way, you can look forward to 10-story condos, not because we say anything, but because that's where the parking goes. Next. These are already permitted. That's the footprint and the height, these blue ones. They're already in process. And then these are the ones that could easily happen, you know, in the good old days. Now, this is what's really interesting about it. You see all these buildings, this wall of buildings? That only accommodates between 500 and 1,000 units. You still have another 2,500 to put somewhere, you know, up and down the beach. So that's why I'm saying you don't need more density. You don't need to up this to 9,000 cap, because where are you going to put them? Okay. So what will happen is, I don't think these are very viable in the future. It's too big an increment of investment. It's too risky. I think that smaller quadruplexes, duplexes, townhouses, and houses are much more likely to happen because the investment isn't that large. The developers and the banks don't have to take such risk. That's my experience elsewhere. We've actually gone up and down our projects. We had projects that were quite dense, and I spent the last 2 years downzoning them so they could be built because they couldn't get the big loan. So, but I put this down because this is possible, up and down the line. I don't think it's going to happen. By the way, we're not forbidding this, understand? We're not preventing this. It's just unlikely to happen. Our main interest is what happens to the north. Okay? The north, which has so little value. There's so little value to them. Look at it. Butler Building pizza joint, half-dead shopping center, you know. And that's the problem. The problem is that Florida, idiotically, sells the coast and then the back is fallow. No one, you know, it's worth almost nothing. We'd like to make that value in depth. I'm going to show you a study we did of our projects, the seaside, you know, in 30A, of the land value, of the value 400 feet inside. Not on the coast. Any idiot can sell coast. 400 feet inside. Next. Okay, so this is Seaside. How big is Seaside? Well, Seaside happens to be 60 acres. This is the square that's the center of everything. By the way, that's also a retention pond. That's a water retention pond. And then we have 4-story buildings, shops, offices, apartments, and this isn't quite built out yet. It's all meant to be big. But you know this big square that we have, Seaside feels big if you've been there, right? Really big. The entire town center of Seaside fits here. That's it, the scale. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's not that much bigger than the Bellagio shopping center. And this what teaches you about, and the Bellagio shopping center, with all due respect, is what it is, but it's not very memorable. Okay? The Bellagio shopping center potentially is bigger than the town center of Seaside in terms of square feet. And this is where design matters, because that laid out differently could have had much more impact than it does now. Right now, it is a kind of nice looking strip shopping center, but that's all. Okay, and this is Seaside from the air. The entire Seaside is here. This is watercolor. This is what? Seagrove Beach, and all that fits here. This is your road. These are the condos we've been looking at. This is, I think, one of the lots that belongs to WCI right on the shore, and the entire Seaside fits before the first wetland, the full depth. It's only a quarter mile. Which is to say, this could have been a series of seasides. If anybody thought about it, and by the way, it was a little early to think about it in 1970, but by 1980, you might have seen something happening worth value. This could have been a series very easily like 30A and Walton County. So now we're working to retrofit it. Fortunately, very little of the back has been built. There's a lot to be done back there. Next. And this is, of course, this is the second one of ours. This is even better than Seaside. This is Rosemary Beach. You should have seen it. The main street, you should have seen it last weekend. Really civilized people. You know, honestly, they were drinking cocktails on the street. It was like a movie. You know? Not exactly the pizza joint in the Butler Building. And did I tell you what the value was here? Did I mention it already?
No.
At the beginning? Oh, no.
You mentioned
12. 12. I mentioned Alice. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mentioned it's much higher real estate value. And this is Alice Beach. And here you have that grain of town building. You know, small lots, apartments, townhouses, all put together right there. Now, these are the land values done, I think, 6 months ago. Sales in 2011. Seaside selling for 650 square. By the way, in the depth of the recession, right? Seaside selling for 650 a square foot, and on down. And by the way, this is Seagrove Beach, which is nice, but it's not planned. See what happens? Even when you're nice and full of trees, it's about a third the value. Planning is incredibly valuable. The only difference between Seagrove Beach, they share the same beach, and they have the same trees. The only difference is that Seaside is planned and this isn't. It really is, so you can say, you can predict it literally. Next.
It's Rick.
Okay, Rick is going to go now. Okay, Rick Hall is going to, because when we first arrived, it was all about the traffic and all about the street. Okay, that's what you wanted to talk about. And then we moved on from there. But that doesn't mean that the traffic in the streets goes away. So we have Rick Hall, which is going to present actually how do you make your thoroughfares not only for cars but also for people. I misled some of you in the early presentations because I thought that actually if we actually created friction here, we should just increase the friction and then people would take I-98. But I was thinking of Walton County, where it's relatively close. Here, they're not going to do it. I'm completely convinced that no one in Alabama that can do this is going to do that. Okay? So we have to deal with what we have. This is not going to go away. We have to turn Perdido Key Drive into a thoroughfare. But let's think of it as people who actually have wallets in those cars, okay? And they might actually stop for dinner and so forth. Yep.
US 98. Just a little typo.
US 98. Okay, that's US 98, but I just want to absolutely clear up what I said in an earlier presentation. We're not counting on that bypass. What Rick is going to describe is what happens to all the traffic that's going to come here and how we're going to love it because they have wallets and it's people that may actually be our friends. Yep.
Excuse me, say again, we will need to turn Perdido Key to a thoroughfare,
Okay.
4-lane all the way.
Okay, he's going to speak about that.
Okay.
There's a word that might be interesting, which has emerged. There's something called a complete street. I don't know if you've heard that. The current thoroughfares that are designed in Florida are only for cars. And everything else you do there, the bicycle's an impediment, the tree is a problem, the pedestrian crossing is a bad thing, the traffic light holds everything up. It's all about cars moving quickly. A complete street is one that has cars, parking, people, trees, and buildings. All of it. It's complete. And bicycles. It's complete. It's the way we used to do things. And they still exist. And those are the ones that, that's a term that's a short, almost like a tag that you can use. We want it to be a complete street. By the way, not everywhere, just in certain sections. Anyway, this is Rick Hall, who actually lives in Tallahassee, so he's really close to the people that give permission.
You have a very quick question, sir?
Just a quick question. I couldn't see the map from the back of the room. It appeared to be that all of Inverarity Point was not in the study area.
Which point is that? The other side?
Inverarity Point basically starts
Just north
at
of
Perdido Key Drive going west all the way down the point.
Yes, yeah, right? No.
Where we are now.
Correct, where we are now.
A little bit of it is. A little bit of it is.
A little bit of
Yeah, there's a line, about a third of it is.
Do you have a,
We have something we're going to show you there.
thank you.
Okay.
And let me say, there are 7 empty seats up here.
Okay. There's a
So
guy
come on
there.
down to the front of the church.
Can you tell me what the elevation of Seaside is?
Elevation of Seaside is about from plus 14 to plus 16.
Okay.
Plus 14 to 16. So we don't have to raise the houses at Seaside.
And also, would the hotel count for our assemblance of?
The hotel, there is in the maximum number of dwellings. There's also